Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, January 6th, 2026. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast, where the machine keeps grinding and so do we. It's me, your man, MG Marcas Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and LaQuan Jones. Happy New Year. Have we done a show since the calendar turned?
No, actually.
No, our last show was on New Year's Eve. That was our last show. Yeah. So Happy New Year, gentlemen.
Happy New Year.
Happy 2026.
Welcome to 2020. 2026, that's one of those years that just sounds like futuristic, right? Like way back.
I don't like it.
What's life going to be like in 2026? And it turns out like it's kind of crappy.
There's actually a movie that we just surpassed 2025. Is it Back to the Future? I want to say. I don't know. It's maybe Time Cop. I don't know.
So it couldn't have been Back to the Future because like Back to the Future takes place in 1985, man.
But then when you go to the future, that might have been 2, right? Yeah, Back to the Future 2.
That was Back to the Future 2. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what year he goes to. I don't know. Maybe it was 2025.
Either way, we surpassed. Total Recall? Nah, I don't know.
You guys want to feel old? We're closer to 2050 than 2000.
Yeah.
Hey, yo. Sheesh.
I remember 2000. Like, I don't like this.
No, the thing that'll make you really feel old is if you go turn on like an oldies radio station and you hear like California Love.
Man, for me, it was Here in 50 Cent. I was like, what? He's on the oldies now?
I was flipping just, I don't usually listen to radio in the car. I'm usually streaming something, but I turned on the radio, I flipped, I heard California Love, and I'm like, what is this old? And then I realized that like, I'm as far away from California Love right now as like when I first moved to LA in the 90s, I was, as far away from like 60s music. Like it's equivalent now. And I'm like,
damn.
Yeah.
You know what was the big eye opener for me? They're using music that I grew up listening to in car commercials.
Yep, in commercials now.
That's the ultimate slap in the face right there.
Yeah, man. Black Sheep is advertising Venmo. Like, what are we doing? This is where we are now. I did not mean to start the show with,
with us being old.
With like,
old folks love the cold open.
Like old man yelling at cloud takes. That was not how I intended to start the show, but here we are anyway. Obviously, the fantasy season is over. The NFL playoffs get going this week. Feel like we can talk about that probably a little more on Thursday's show. So wanted to kind of take today and kind of round up, recap a little bit of the 2025 season. Maybe kind of start to kind of look ahead. Obviously, we're going to do a lot of looking ahead in the next few months as we get into, combine, draft, free agency, all that kind of stuff. But let's start with a few headlines, mostly around the coaching carousel and I guess the GM carousel, which is now up and running and spinning officially because, we have what I guess it's what we used to call Black Monday. I hear the people in our building don't like that we use that term, but it's shorthand. Everybody knows what it means.
Yeah.
The day when coaches lose their job. So
what should we call it instead? We got to think of a creative name.
I don't know.
Sacking. That's what they say in soccer.
Obviously, we had a couple during the course of the season. Brian Dable was let go earlier. Brian Callahan was actually the first to get let go fairly early in the season. But since then, the Falcons have said goodbye to Raheem Morris, which, side note to that, I'm Raheem Morris. I appreciate that they did it on Sunday night, as opposed to Jonathan Gannon, who showed up at work at 5:30 in the morning only to get fired.
That was performative, right? That was him being like, look how dedicated I am, right? It's the day after the season ended. You don't have to show up at 5 in the morning.
You have to be at 5:30 in the morning. Like, you don't. But at least, if I'm Raheem Morris, you didn't make me have to get up early and get dressed and come into the office. Like, the game was over. I'll just go back to the office. I'll pack up my stuff. I'll go home, and then we're done with it. The Browns have said goodbye to Kevin Stefanski. I like to believe that Kevin Stefanski was paroled by the Cleveland Browns. The Raiders have moved on from Pete Carroll. So those are the head coaches that have been let go so far. By the way, the Falcons also did fire general manager Terry Fontenot. So just kind of a full house cleaning there in Atlanta. Florio, any of these come as a big surprise to you? Any of the guys who've been let go?
No. I think of all of them, you could argue Stefanski deserved more time there, but I agree with you, Marcus. I think Stefanski very much so wanted a fresh start as well. I think this is just better for everyone involved. The one that surprised me the most was the one that happened last with Jonathan Gannon. And it doesn't surprise me in the results, right? He had 3 years, a 300 winning percentage. His defense is worse off now than when he got there. There's not a whole, like, the Cardinals have nothing to hang their hat on right now. But all the reports leading into yesterday were that he was going to be safe. So that one, just because of the reports leading into it, surprised me a little bit.
Yeah. I will say, I mean, I was a little surprised by Raheem Morris. I mean, I know that it has not been good the last couple of years, but I also thought it's only been 2 years. You know, the first year he was sort of trying to make do with a hobbled Kirk Cousins. That was just a bad situation. Then this year, you know, he started with Michael Penix and it was fine with Penix. Then Penix gets hurt and you're sort of forced to go back to Kirk Cousins. You know, I don't know that Morris did a lot to help himself, but also he wasn't given the best set of circumstances.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe he would get another year, but you know, I wouldn't ride really hard to save Raheem Morris too at this point. So that's kind of it. I'll say the Raiders thing it surprised me sort of how it happened. Like, I didn't think they would just straight up fire Pete Carroll. I just thought they would sort of I thought they would fire him on the under, but let him come out and say, hey guys, I think I'm just going to go back to retirement, right? Like, I thought they would let him sort of at least manipulate the situation to go out on his own.
That's the last we see of Pete coaching, though, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, this is it.
I think so.
I think he was there to build the culture. Well, maintain the culture.
Try to build the culture. Yeah.
But yeah, I think him getting Max Crosby to crash out, that might have been the tipping hat right there.
Yeah.
Maybe he can go back to teaching at USC because that's what he was doing before the Raiders hired him. He was, you've gotten so much better at that. He was teaching a course called The Game is Life through the Marshall School of Business at SC. So maybe he can. I'm sure they would allow him to go back to that if that's what he wanted to do.
Or just chill, bro. Just chill.
Yeah,
Go home.
Have you seen Pete Carroll? That dude does not know how to chill, man. Like,
just take your money, go on a beach,
and retire, bro.
Yeah.
Pack of Gum is scared to see that dude coming. He does not know how to chill.
Get a media job where you're talking on Sundays and that's it, something like that. Cover a Seahawks game. I don't know, but give yourself a break. You've done this your whole life.
Literally.
It's like all he knows.
Life. It is. It's all kind of all he knows. Look, when you look at all these openings here, right? Atlanta, Cleveland, Arizona, Vegas. We'll throw in the Giants and the Titans as well. Which one do you feel like has the most potential?
Most potential. Obviously the Falcons, man, because you still have Kyle Pitts. Hopefully he returns. Bijan, Drake London. Like, you still have an offense. And like Michael Penix, I think we're kind of like on the fence with him yet. We really don't know. Like, we haven't seen enough. But when you look at like guys like Raheem Morris, like, I think that, you know, maybe some of these openings that may open up in the future, maybe the Dolphins, you know, or, you know, with Chris Shula as our defensive coordinator, he may be off and then he comes back, you know, Raheem Morris back to the Rams. But I think obviously that Falcons job is going to be one of the things that everybody's going to be looking at because they have like the core foundation of a top offense, in my opinion. So I think any head coach that goes into that situation, they can't mess it up. Get the ball to your best player's hands. You got 3 options. Yeah, so I really do think that the Falcons job being open now, with possibly Matt Ryan in the front office making decisions as well. He's getting interviewed this week. So I do think at the end of the day, you have a good team that you're walking into, whoever that question mark coach is coming in.
Yeah, that was kind of my first thought too. It's probably the Falcons.
I actually disagree.
Oh, who do you think?
Because the Falcons don't have their first. They don't have a lot of cap. I think the Titans are the best opening because you have Cam Ward, who is a proven, I think he showed this year that he could play. They have the most cap space in the NFL this offseason, and they have 8 picks in this draft. I also think low-key the Raiders, because they have the second most cap, and they have 9 draft picks this year, including 6 in the first 4 rounds and the number 1 pick. And then I think the Giants because of Jackson Dart. To me, those are the top 3 open. If I was ahead, like if I'm Stefanski, because I think he's the biggest name out there, those are the 3 that I would be weighing personally.
Yeah, I did think the Giants are probably in the mix there. You mentioned Dart, Scatterboo, is interesting. I think we're waiting to see what Abdul Carter can be, because
There's a lot of talent on that defensive
they
line.
have a lot of talent on the defense. They got Malik Neighbors, who's going to be hopefully healthy and back soon, although he kind of was not super certain about when he was coming back.
That scared me a lot.
That is concerning that he was not
Red flag.
He was using a cane.
that does not seem great. But in theory, when you have a healthy Malik Neighbors to go along with your running back and your quarterback, that's something to build around. So, I don't know. We'll see how things go. I think we'll start to see some of these dominoes fall in relatively short order. Although I don't know if you saw the comment today from Joe Shane, who got to keep his job as the Giants general manager, about how they are going to, they've been able to have a longer runway to evaluate coaches, how they watched a lot of the press conferences from the past week with coordinators to get a sense of who they might be interested, but also that they're going to consult AI to help make their decision on it.
I saw someone was like, they're using Chat GPT.
I wanted to look at the return script to see your reactions, and neither one of you disappointed with your reactions to that statement.
Like, sir, what? And this guy still has a job after letting Saquon walk, go win a Super Bowl, run crazy, almost break
Not just win a Super Bowl,
record.
but win a Super Bowl with your rivals.
Bro, what is? I have no comments.
They let the wrong person leave the building, in my opinion. Dable's the one who picked out Dart, and he was the one who had him playing.
And the thing is, Dart is already saying, this next coach needs to match my energy. Dart is not changing. So whatever coach is walking in there, if he comes in there like Gannon, it's a wrap. It's already Giants are winning 3 games and on to next year. That's just how I look at it.
Dart, did you take the bus here or did you drive here?
Seriously.
I'm trying to think of a coach who could match Jackson Dart's energy. And strangely, the only name I'm coming up with is Pete Carroll.
Wow.
Who
Him
can
and
match
Dan Campbell would. Walls would not be safe.
Oh, Dan Campbell. I mean, obviously Dan Campbell's not going anywhere in Detroit. Yeah. But yeah, Dan Campbell could match that energy. That would be, I don't know, man. That would be a little too intense.
Yeah. All day, 6 a.m. Imagine walking into that room at 6 a.m. and those two are just screaming.
Headbutting each other's heads with Cam Scatterboo.
Add Cam Scatterboo into that mix too.
Oh my God.
A 3-way headbutt is insane.
That trio would make a pot of espresso nervous. Holy cow, man. That'd just be insane.
Nah.
I don't think honestly that wouldn't work, because they would literally wear out everybody else in the building. It'd be all right, man.
Malik Neighbors would be like, yo, I need someone else here, man.
Seriously.
Trade.
Man, this is a little too hype for me. A coach that is staying, a couple coaches that are staying. Mike McDaniel it looks like he has escaped being fired. Meanwhile, in Cincinnati, Zach Taylor and player personnel director Duke Tobin are sticking around for the Bengals. I'm going to ask you this, LaQuan, because Zach Taylor is one of these Sean McVay guys.
Yeah. We ain't too proud about what's
is he?
You might have to remove him from the tree.
# good at his job.
He can make it look good. Put it like that. If you have Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, going to bat for him, saying he's good. It's okay, now we're wrapping our heads around the same repeat cycle that we have seen with this staff. I would look at something in this cycle at least to try to think of maybe we should change it up. Because Zach Taylor, to me, the ideas are there. The culture is there, but then it's always the same story. You know what I mean? I do feel like the Bengals get right there and then they fall flat. I mean, injuries you can't control, but it's more so of keeping your guys together. We see Joe Burrow, he's not having fun anymore. I can't say that's not because of Zach Taylor or what's been going on, but there's been times where you're is he the guy? Is he the one to take them back to the promised land? Is he's the one that keep this band together? And you pay all your guys and your defense is shredded cheese every single week. It's what changes need to happen? You know what I mean? I'm not excited about if I'm a Bengals fan about this staff or this team going into next year, because what's going to change? Like, our defense is still bad. Our offense is amazing, but we can't get back to the big dance. So I would think at least they entertain in this cycle. They can't get to the playoffs, back-to-back seasons. Yeah. So it's like, you look at this where it's like, where do we need change? You know what I mean?
I actually think the GM, they did a really bad job building this team.
Yeah.
And negotiating contracts. I mean, it all the fingers point upward. You know what I mean?
You got to pay your guys, but you don't. If you go all in on 2 receivers and a quarterback, you don't have to pay Mike Gesicki as well. You know, like, and Alan Flowers, our producer of Fantasy Live, is a huge Bengals fan, and he literally went year by year one time and pointed out that, like, they haven't, outside of Chase and Burrow, they haven't hit on a first round pick in like years.
It's been a while that they've done that. Greg Rosenthal pointed out a couple days ago that in the last 3 years, when Joe Burrow has started, when he's been healthy and able to start, the Bengals are 17-16. So just barely over 500 with Joe Burrow. You know, and they've got 3 guys that you can point to and be like, okay, these are guys, Burrow, Chase, Higgins, guys that any team around the league would love to have and would pay. But we were talking about a defense that at one point was historically bad this year. And that was coming off a year where the year before they weren't maybe historically bad. They were just regular bad. So
regular bad is still bad.
Regular bad is still bad. I mean, I guess it's not as bad as historically bad, but it's still not good. And that's kind of where they are right now. The offensive line doesn't inspire any confidence. There's just very little about this team right now that makes you believe. And here's the thing. The division is not,
it might be the worst in football outside of the NFC South.
Yeah, the Steelers just squeak into the playoffs. The Ravens just, vomited on their shoes repeatedly during the season. The Browns are the Browns. There's nobody. It's not like you're looking around and this is like, I don't know, pick a division where you just have a lockdown, like, for sure, it's not like the AFC West before this year, right? Where the Chiefs just had it on lock for a decade. It's not like that. Like, you can go out and win.
My Bengals hot take is they made the Super Bowl that year because of Lou Anarumo, and his defense was, he shut down Josh Allen and Mahomes in back-to-back weeks. Like, They were balling out that year. And I've been saying it for a while. Why doesn't he have a head coaching gig? It sounds like he's finally going to get his chance.
Yeah.
We'll see. Also, then you have to ask the question, is he a head coach? Is he a coordinator?
Yeah.
I know you and I were talking, Florio, before the show, like Mike McDaniel. I'm sort of leaning toward he's a really good coordinator, maybe not a good head coach. So we'll find out. I don't know. We'll see. Speaking of coordinators, the Commanders have said goodbye to offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury. I've seen a lot of social media posts of him sitting in his weird all-glass Arizona desert mansion that he did when he was still the head coach of the Cardinals.
It's a dope house.
It's kind of a dope house. I don't know if he had something similar in the D.C. area. Don't know. But wherever he's going to be looking for new real estate. But Florio, I don't know. I feel like it was hard to pin this on Cliff Kingsbury this year, right? I mean, last year it had Jaden Daniels, who had an amazing rookie season. They get all the way to the NFC Championship game. This year, I think we pointed it out. You had 3 games this year where you had Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin on the field together. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that Cliff Kingsbury is the greatest OC to ever live, but this also feels like there were a lot of things out of his control this year.
Yeah, and I'll fully admit, like, I didn't expect the offense to look as competent as it did when Jaden was out. Like, Marcus Mariota held it, like, he wasn't great, but he held it down, and, like, he was serviceable for fantasy and stuff like that. So, he is one because the expectation is that Joe Brady will not be back for the Bills next year. I've seen some Bills fans talk about that, and I'm like, just get a wide receiver 1, put him on the left side, and things will be great. Yeah. Like, Cliff has his deficiencies. He has stuff that makes him a little bit too predictable, but I also think he is a pretty good OC.
Yeah, that one sort of shocked me because I just felt like, all right, this year was sort of a wash. He had a lot of injuries. they traded Brian Robinson. Austin Eckler gets hurt, so you're trying to piece it together. The running back position. That one just kind of took me by surprise because it didn't feel like he did anything specifically wrong.
I think the perspective of Kingsbury has changed as the perception of Kyler Murray has changed.
Maybe. That's interesting. Huh.
Maybe reunite. Let's get toxic.
Where? In Vegas? You know what? Kyler and Cliff reunite in Vegas.
I ain't mad at it.
Could it be?
Maybe.
Could it be?
Kyler to me seems like he's going to play for the Jets next year.
Ew. Ew. Ew, God, that's
the case. We can cross Kyler off the. He's on the do not draft list if that's really what's going to happen next year. So figure we go back and look at this rookie class. It came in with big expectations, especially at the running back position. And I'm not going to go over all the rookies. Some guys. I feel like a Tetero and McMillan. We all can kind of he had a good rookie season. He's the number one wide receiver in Carolina. Whatever. I'm picking guys that either maybe underperformed or are in kind of tricky situations to get your thoughts on their past year and your expectations for their upcoming year. So, Florio, I'll start with you on Ashton Jeanty. Your feelings on what he did, and can it get better next year?
I think Ashton Jeanty had a pretty good rookie season, all things considered, right? He's running behind maybe the worst offensive line in football. His quarterback at the end of the year was in and out of the lineup. They traded their number one wide receiver. Their number all-pro tight end wasn't out there for much of the games, and he still set their rookie rushing record. And I know, especially at the end of the year, it was very up and down, right? He either had a big game or he was giving you very little fantasy points. But given what I was saying last segment with the Raiders having the second most cap and the most picks and the number one pick, it's going to be a new play caller. A lot is going to be different in Vegas. And they don't even have to have a Patriots-like jump. They just got to get competent, right? Not be the worst O-line and worst
be the
offensive
Panthers.
Football. Yeah. Just if you do that, I think Ashton Jeanty could return first-round value.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of Pete Carroll getting let go means that his son, who was the offensive line coach, not going to be there as well next year. One thing I did like is them including him more in the passing game as the season went along. I think that was sort of out of necessity, right? Because they couldn't open holes to run with the football, but they had to get the ball in his hands some kind of way. So 73 targets, 55 receptions. I guess my question to you though about that, LQ, is this really a thing they're going to continue, or is this sort of like the Najee Harris, 100 target rookie season thing?
I think it's going to depend on who they have at quarterback. That can just change the whole dynamic of it. You might not get a check down quarterback in there. You might got a gunslinger that wants to be aggressive downfield. I don't think that he completely fades away from the passing game, but giving the situation, which I like to use situational targets, there was nobody else there that they could have passed the ball to. So in order to get any type of gains, any positive yardage, they had to do something. So I don't think that we get that same sample size that we got this season going into next year. And it all really depends at that quarterback position. And if they get that O-line intact, because if he has another season behind this same quality of an O-line, even if they put new pieces there, new bodies there, but they're still playing at the same level, then it's kind of what are we doing here? It's just another year that we got to put under the rug and be hey, we're not wrong. We're just early.
So I guess the answer to your question is let's all start studying tape of Fernando Mendoza.
Yep.
And seeing how much he checks the ball down.
There you go.
Fun young core, though, with Mendoza, Jeanty, and Bowers. They might not have much, but that trio would be a lot of fun.
I think they should get a veteran, though. This is one of the situations where I'm all right, this is a good cycle of the veterans.
So Kyler and Mendoza.
Kyler, Fields, Mac Jones, there's some names out there.
I think you bring one of those to be a QB2, but
I can't do Justin.
They're not franchise guys. This is your chance,
I hear that, but then it's you are basically resetting the clock where it's so many different holes that are high priority rather than your quarterback, which you still have Marcus's doppelganger and Geno Smith there, who deleted all Raiders from his bio on Instagram and pictures. So it's kind of curtains, I think, there as well. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll say this. I think I'm done with the Justin Fields thing. Like, it's just,
It's
we've
good for
seen
fantasy,
it now.
not for real life.
Anthony Richardson, he could be out there.
Dude, if you're the Raiders, do you really want to have to bring, I mean, like, you are not in a position as an organization to develop Anthony Richardson. You're just not.
What if it's Cliff? What if it's Cliff Kingsbury over there? Like, who knows who the quarterback and coach will be?
You want the 5 years on a rookie deal to, and you want your own guy, you know?
But it's the Raiders. What if they screw this up?
But I think if you're the Raiders, you're looking at it like we have a bunch of cap and a bunch of picks. Like, we get that quarterback at 1, and then we use every other asset.
Screw that. Use the first 5 picks on your O-line. You have a generational running back, and you have a generational tight end. I think if you get a veteran there, you can still be somewhat competitive in a division that looks weak right now with the Chiefs and Chargers constantly shooting themselves in the foot. But
I wouldn't say that division is weak.
it's weaker.
It's weaker, but I'm not counting out the Chiefs. The Chargers will have their O-line back next year.
The Broncos are great defensively, and they are good, and they're good enough on offense.
It's weaker. There's still an opening to be in that second, third spot.
If you are the Raiders and that is your focus, I don't know that you take a lineman at number 1. I think that's when you trade out, you see what you can get, and you build that way.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing with bringing in Anthony Richardson is you have to be committed to giving him reps, and you're going to have to live with whatever the result is going to be. I am curious whether or not Tom Brady is interested in giving Anthony Richardson reps and giving him that runway to develop.
This is huge.
Richardson only has 1, maybe if you pick up the 5th year, it's 2 years, right? Like, I think a team like the Raiders, you want as long of especially a new coach and everything coming in, like, I think you want that long runway, being like, we got 5 years with the Heisman winning quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know what Anthony Richardson's future is at this point because, he's missed so much time with injury.
The Jets honestly make a lot of sense.
I didn't want to say it, but then it's like, it's there. So it's like, yeah, the Jets.
Wherever Cliff goes
Jets.
makes sense, though. I do think that.
Yeah. Yeah, Richardson's in a really tough spot. Some of it of his own making, some of it not, right? I mean, the way the Colts just sort of bungled his development has not helped, but also he just hasn't stayed healthy. Like, look, the thing this year with the resistance band, that was just a freak bad luck injury. But, him tapping out after a run and being like, hey, I'm tired. I need to take it. Like stuff like that just doesn't help you.
I'm pretty sure he still has more reps in college than in the NFL, and he barely played in college.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's true. Next one, TreVeyon Henderson. And I'm going to obviously start with you, Florio, because you were the big TreVeyon Henderson stan here. We saw later in the season him start to get more run, especially when Ramondre Stevenson was hurt midway through the season. But when Stevenson came back, he was still getting touches. He was still getting targets. He's still a part of the offense. The other part of that is he's still under contract for a number of years. I think through 2028, I believe it is. There's still a few more years left on his deal. Are we going to be doing this dance again with TreVeyon next season where he's just not getting the number of snaps we would like because they still want to get Ramondre involved?
I think we see TreVeyon take over at a height even more than, because down the stretch, outside of the game where TreVeyon returned from concussion, what was that, week 17, I want to say? Outside of that, later in the season, TreVeyon was being used over Stevenson. But, like, I know it was a disappointing year for TreVeyon. He had 1,100 scrimmage yards and double-digit touchdowns. Like, sign me up if that's a bad year,
Yeah.
But I think he showed as he got more opportunity that he is super explosive, super dynamic. And what I'm going to be keeping a close eye on is I think the Patriots are going to set him free in the playoffs. Like, I don't think Stevenson fully goes away, but I think the Patriots were pretty it was a conscious effort to not overwork TreVeyon, especially early in the year. And he had comments himself where he was like, man, the NFL season is a grind. It's so different from the college season. Like, I've learned so much already this year. So I do think they were like, hey, we have another back we trust here. Like, we don't need to put it all on your plate in 1 year. And I don't think Stevenson goes away fully next year either. Like a 60-40 split might be possible, but I would be shocked if TreVeyon is not on the heavy side of that platoon.
Yeah, does this feel like another, maybe it's a little extreme, looks like a Bijan Tyler Algier situation where it's like we never get maximum TreVeyon.
Gibbs and Monty, I think, is
Kyron and Blake Corum. Let's go.
Yeah,
I hate that you stuttered on that.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's sort of a different situation, right? Because with Kyron and Corum, which is kind of seems like a comedy duo. I think with those guys, one, you're talking about Blake Corum being kind of this is year 2 for Blake Corum. And I think he's sort of ascending. Like, Ramondre is on the decline, right? Like, I think he peaked a couple years ago. I think, his usage is going to start to decline a little bit. He's going to be kind of a nuisance. Maybe the Gibbs-Monty thing is a little more accurate. I'm not sure. That was why I hesitated on the Rams guys. It wasn't because of,
because you're a 40-winer.
I feel like they're just I think it was a different situation. I'm trying to compliment your team, man. Why are you trying to jab me in the eye?
I don't want to hear it.
I'm trying to say nice things about your team. Anyway, all right, I don't think you talk about Emeka Egbuka then.
Oh, great.
Because he started hot, right? I mean, he had 2 touchdown catches in week 1 last year. Yeah. And after the first month, it was like, well, he's the offensive rookie of the year. And then we really didn't hear much from him for 6 weeks. And down the stretch, especially as guys got healthy, we heard less from Egbuka, right? And so we know going into next year, Mike Evans probably gonna be back. I don't know what you expect from Chris Godwin, but even Jalen McMillan down the stretch was getting involved in the passing game. I mean, LQ, if you have your complement of receivers, even if it's not, let's just say it's just McMillan and Evans, is there still enough room for Egbuka to be a dude in that offense?
What this ultimately comes down to, can Baker snap out of it? Can we get the Baker Mayfield that we saw last year, just a small ounce of that? I don't think it was a real issue with Emeka Egbuka himself, but there is many mouths to feed in that offense. J-Mac, Jalen McMillan, I like him. I love him. I love his versatility. We can see that he can ball when given opportunity and healthy, so he's going to be a factor. If Mike Evans does not ride off into sunset just because he didn't get 1,000 yards this season, and he returns next season, I'll be highly disappointed, man. Just write it off. You're good, man. You're good in the Hall of Fame books. We don't need no more of your services. Let's get the young guys involved, because I would love to see an offense with Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka, and Jalen McMillan, or whoever else they bring in, because I do think that we have to factor in, if Baker's not going to be playing at the top quality level that we've seen him play, then Emeka Egbuka just becomes another flex option. He just becomes a guy that has these high weeks and then low weeks, and it'll be a complete roller coaster. I don't see him going in the first 6 rounds like he did this past drafts. I think he kind of falls a little bit later, even if we get that notion okay, Mike Evans is out of the way, because there's still a lot to be proven on this offense to bounce back, and that O-line needs to be intact as well.
Yeah. Evans is a free agent this year. Godwin under contract through 2028.
They have an out next year, though. I think they have an outlet next year, because all his money was on the back end of his contract. That's why this year they didn't care if he played.
I don't know about you guys. I feel like Evans won't play anywhere but Tampa.
Yeah, I feel like he's a buck for life. It just he's one of those guys. It's gonna feel weird to see him in a different uniform.
If I'm the Bucks, I want him. Yeah, I know for fantasy we rather. If you want Egbuka, you want Evans gone. But if I'm the Bucks, I want Evans there, as long as he was still their go-to option.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you saw that immediately when he came back, right?
He's back.
F it. 13 is down there somewhere. We're just going to throw it up. He seems like one of those guys who's I'm going to start and end my career here in Tampa. It just makes sense. It fully fits.
He doesn't have to go to the Tennessee.
He does not have to go to the rest home for wide receivers. Yeah. Doesn't have to take the DeAndre Hopkins circuit at the end of his career, wherever he's going to go.
Oh, man.
Did we see the last of D-Hop, you think?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I forgot he was a Raven. That's how It's kind of like the consensus thought of, DeAndre Hopkins is playing football. I forgot about that.
Well, it's funny because early in the season, because I feel like he had a couple of touchdowns early in the year. And it was like one of those things where you would see the fantasy totals. You'd be like, oh, all right, well, maybe there's something there. And you go look and you realize that he played like 10% of the snaps. And it just so happened that the few times he was on the field, they threw it to him. You're like, yeah, this is not sustainable.
He's not a Hall of Famer, right?
No.
He could have been.
He had the talent.
Could have been Hall of Famers should be the category.
I was having the conversation with somebody the other day, and they came up with a really good metric for guys. I had to write it down because I thought it was actually great, where you are from like lowest to highest, right? You are like a bobblehead, team giveaway sort of guy, right? Like you were really good for your team. You're a fan favorite. We're going to, do a giveaway for you, like a special t-shirt or bobblehead or whatever, right? So that's one. Next is you're a ring of honor for your respective team. So you were like good for a long time. Maybe you helped them win a championship, whatever. You're a ring of honor guy. Then there's the Hall of Very Good, where it's like, okay, we're talking about you. Maybe you get to Canton, whatever. And then obviously Hall of Famer being the top level of that. DeAndre Hopkins,
I can see that.
Hall of Very Good, Ring of Honor. He's above bobblehead level.
Yeah, I think Hall of Very Good. Like, to me, there's a category of guys like LQ was saying. Like I think Odell goes in that category of like, you were a Hall of Fame talent, but you, for whatever reason, you didn't put up the injuries, the longevity wasn't there, stuff like that.
Bro, Cleveland. that sealed the deal. Cleveland, right there.
But that wasn't his
got
fault.
shipped there, it was over.
Yeah.
Done deal.
I mean, again, I guess it was out of his control, right? Like that part.
Got paid and got shipped.
But Odell at peak is still one of the best I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But Odell, sad, is probably the worst football player ever.
It's funny because I feel like with Nuke, if his career had ended after the 2020 season, right? That first year in Arizona, he had 1,400 yards. Like he was coming off a string of, 6,000 yard seasons. He gone over 1,000 yards 6 times in 7 seasons. He was like a double-digit touchdown guy. Like I think if you cut it off there, we're like, oh yeah, this probably is a Hall of Fame guy. But then he went through those just nondescript seasons in Arizona where he was hurt a little bit. Then he went to Tennessee. He had that one year with, he split the year between the Titans and the Chiefs. Then he went to Baltimore. It's like the further away he got from 2020, you're just sort of like, you kind of forgot about the greatness a little bit of DeAndre
What's crazy
Hopkins.
is he was 28. Like that's old. Like the signs were there. Like holy heck.
Yeah.
His career reminds me of AJ Green's. Like at peak, Hall of Fame talent. But then the ending is just so bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when, especially when AJ Green took that whole year off, where he was basically just like, oh, I think I'm going to practice. I think I'm going to. Nah.
That year was so frustrating.
Yeah. And then the Bengals waiting until, week 16 to finally put him on IR. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, what's happening? That was so bad. Last rookie. And this, I thought, was the most intriguing of the guys on this list. And we could all kind of get in on here. But Florio, you can start. Travis Hunter. Because there were so many expectations. There was so much hope. Unfortunately, he suffers a torn ACL. Just as I think we all believed he was about to take off. We really thought, like, this is when the explosion comes. He suffers the injury. We don't see him the rest of the year. What does 2026 bring for Travis Hunter?
You guys know I loved Travis Hunter. Like I was calling him the Shohei Ohtani of the NFL before the season, and
which Adam Rank never failed to remind you about.
Yeah,
the season.
I think if the Jags knew what they know now coming into the season with BTJ, we would have seen a different Travis Hunter, right? Like he would have been their one. They would have been using him a lot more and stuff. But they were like, we have a proven one in BTJ. But I think everything since Travis Hunter got hurt, right? We saw Parker Washington break out. They went and traded for and then signed Jacoby Myers. So now they got 3 wide receivers, right? Like, so my fear is with Hunter coming off of a serious knee injury is that they do at least next season. Maybe it's year 3. We see him play both sides at a full-time rate. Maybe never, but I don't think we get that in year 2. And I'm really concerned that, it's going to be the offensive side that takes a hit. So as much as I'm going to be rooting for Travis Hunter and I really like him as a talent and stuff, If he's going early in drafts or even where he was last summer, I won't be in.
Do not draft him. Do not draft him.
Are you not drafting at all? You're out. You're fully out.
Period. Why? Why even enter this circus that we already did? I would say the Rams game, that's the only thing on film that we've seen that he could be a wide receiver 1. That's the only game that we've seen fantasy relevance that you could have trusted him as a starter. Other than that, you extend Jacoby Myers. You see Parker Washington becoming Trevor Lawrence. Yes, that is the first time in the new year I have said Trevor Lawrence on the mic.
Good for you.
He is making this strong connection with these other wide receivers. It's like, I don't even see him fitting into this picture unless they get rid of Brian Thomas Jr. because he's the odd man out. You know, I just feel like at the end of the day, why jump into the circus coming back from injury, knowing that he's going to play majority of the time of like one side of the ball week to week is just the most annoying thing in fantasy right now.
But then that was my question though. Like, do you trade BTJ? I mean, that was rumored right around the trade deadline. There was all this chatter that maybe they would move on. He wasn't playing well. He obviously doesn't seem to have a connection with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, at least Trevor Lawrence and Travis Hunter did a commercial together, whatever that's worth. You know, like,
I don't know.
It wouldn't be, I don't think it'd be the wildest thing if we saw the Jags send Thomas somewhere else, get some draft picks, get some sort of, you know, assets, some capital to work with, and then try to, you know, then you have your 3, right? You've got Myers, Washington, and Hunter as your 3 wide receivers.
Hot take. I wouldn't do it. Because
as in you wouldn't trade away Brian Thomas Jr. or you wouldn't take Brian Thomas Jr.?
I wouldn't trade Brian Thomas Jr. He's too talented. Like, we see him play this Alec Pierce role that we kind of labeled him, and he plays it well when they connect. I think you just kind of water that flower a little bit more because at the end of the day, like, we saw him go off. There's evidence of him going off without Trevor Lawrence. Not the great match right now. You're trying to make a square go into a circle. But you're not moving on for
Trevor Lawrence at this point.
I know, but what I'm saying is you have to figure it out this offseason. Like, him crashing out at practice and him not really just, I guess, not paying attention to the small details of Liam Cohen's system. Like, these were all reports in the summer that we were hearing going into the season and then showed and reflect on the field. So I think you take this time in the playoffs, just draw something up. Let him have a Brian Thomas Jr. game. You know, like, I think the talent is there. It's just like the situation and connection and chemistry is just lacking right now.
I don't know if I'm using the playoffs to figure this out.
No.
I'm not using the playoffs to mess around with this.
But I do think a lot of people are going to feel how LQ feels and like, I don't want any part of Travis Hunter. And if that's the case and he's going in like the 11th, 12th round, I'll throw some.
Sign me
if
up.
He's going in like
Sign
the
me
8th
up.
round, I'm not doing
That's free. If it's free, it's for me. I ain't complaining about that because he'll be your wide receiver 4 or 5 if he's living in the 12th round. Like, yeah.
But if it's
I'm
like the
with
8th round, 9th round, I'm not doing it.
But you know the fantasy streets are going to bring him from the grave and put
I
him
think a
in
lot
front
of people are going to
everybody's
feel the way
face,
you feel and be like, I don't want any part of him.
as they should.
I think the Jacoby Myers acquisition muddied the waters a lot, right? Because then all of a sudden you're like, oh, you have a guy who can be your wide receiver 1.
Let's not forget about Brenton Strange in this. Like, I think we're kind of overlooking his role as well because he's been heating up as well. Like, when he came back from injury, he immediately found the end zone. And immediately just reconnected that chemistry with Trevor. So it's like, I do think there's a lot of mouths to feed in this offense.
I feel like the Strange thing was more a product of circumstance than any sort of like they believe in Brenton Strange. I'm not saying that, but there's a lot of dudes that can ball. I mean, you know, that never really. Brian Thomas, right? Brian Thomas can ball, but here we are talking about should we trade him away because, you know, like that doesn't always work out. So, you know, we'll see how that goes.
He hates his friends. That's what it is. He hates his teammates.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe Trevor Lawrence should let somebody do some squatting him in a bar or something like that. Oh my God.
That's the most randomest thing I've seen on the timeline. Like, seriously, just random. You just let somebody just squat you in the bar. Like, what?
As someone who their favorite team has to face the Jaguars this weekend, the vibes are so high in Duval right now that it concerns me.
He got that grill in his mouth now. He feeling himself.
That concerns me. That literally, that picture I saw and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like
Trevor is a community guy. He's a community guy.
He's
so the whole
sort of
Duval's behind him.
In spirit, at least, he's sort of replacing Blake Bortles. Right, because Bortles was very much on the scene in Jacksonville, when he played down there, right? And like, I'm not saying, that statistically or whatever style of play, but at least in terms of just the spirit of his essence and everything, it's kind of Bortles-ish.
Steve Weiss did point out that he doesn't like this small market team thing that they're going with because they are also London's team, and London would be like the second biggest market. Also,
small market team doesn't play in football. It just doesn't. This is not.
Also, they're a bigger market than Buffalo, so they can't use that this week.
Like, I just, I get what Liam Cohen's trying to do there, but it just doesn't play in the NFL, right? You're not, because you got revenue sharing and everybody gets, a big chunk of the money. And like, there's just so many things. This is not like baseball where, you're the Kansas City Royals and you're crying poor or whatever. I know that like, team. It just doesn't work. I'm good. I'm glad.
Patrick Mahomes owns them.
He does. he literally owns them. Literally owns them. So yeah, like I see what he's trying to do. I sort of shrugged it off. Like I didn't think, actually when I first heard it, I was like, oh, he's not being serious. Like
no, they're buying into it, man. They have fully bought into it.
I guess whatever gets you excited. I don't know. Any rookies that we didn't mention, LaQuan, that you think are ready to make a big leap next year?
Riley Leonard, if the Colts give him a shot. I'm just saying, if they give him a shot, Riley Leonard. But if I want to be completely serious, it's Tyler Shough. I am going with Tyler Shough for the simple fact that you have Chris Olave saying, hey, Spencer Rattler should play somewhere else because Tyler Shough is basically our guy. Like, I like that, he wants Tyler Shough to be his guy and moving forward, he wants to stay in New Orleans. But Tyler Shough impressed me, man. I was completely wrong about his play. I'm completely wrong about his confidence because he is the leader of the locker room. As you can see, so many people rally around him. But I think next season, we're going to be talking about him in a different light. Like, we're not going to be talking about him as a streamer or a guy that you just pick up off the waiver wire. Like, he might be a consistent start just based on him being mobile out of the pocket and the weapons that they have around him and maybe the weapons that they acquire. I think folks want to play with Tyler Shough because he's showing that moxie and seems to be like New Orleans is opening their arms to him. So I do think that he's going to have a good stay there. And I think that he's going to be in those talks of like super flex leagues where you have to get yourself some Tyler Shough.
I was about to ask you, would you draft him as a QB1?
A QB1, I will be completely honest, right? The QB1 to me, like I'm building a different roster. I'm building straight wide receivers, running backs, I'm hammering, and then I wait into that 12th, 13th round or even later for a QB1 and see how that mold will go. The mobileness in him, like him being able to run out of the pocket and run one in and then having that gunslinger mentality at times, I wouldn't be surprised if we're sitting here next year like, wow, that was a heck of a season by Tyler Shough, a QB1 season out of him. Maybe we start talking about him in a different light then. Like, I think we're on the climb here with Tyler Shough right now.
I think he's a seat filler. I think he's a bridge quarterback. I mean, the dude's going to be, 27 next year?
Yeah. I do like him, though, but the ages.
I mean, he was the backup to Justin Herbert at Oregon.
Yo, that's insane. That's insane. That's right? Insane.
He was Justin Herbert's backup at Oregon. He went to 3 different colleges. He's going to be 27 next September. I think he's a seat filler for whenever the Saints feel like they want to pull the trigger on a rookie quarterback.
He does have to win games.
I think he'll hang around the league as a nice backup for a little bit. He could be Josh McCown. Like, I think that's what he can be. I think that's what we're looking at.
Okay, so my original, Riley Leonard. Remember I said this. Can we clip this? Riley Leonard. Just saying it. Saying it now. Coining him as my next year jump for year 2.
Until the Colts re-sign Daniel Jones.
Bro, Daniel Jones will be 29 years old coming from an Achilles injury. They will sign him to be the guy holding the clipboard midway through the season when Riley Leonard makes this offense go to the playoffs. That deep sigh.
You got Riley Leonard taking the Colts to the playoffs now? Like,
yep.
Because I guess he could. He could buy everybody tickets, if that were the case. All right. Any rookies you think Florio can make the leap next year?
Yeah. 2 that I did like as prospects, and but I think RJ Harvey first. I'll say it right now. I think as pending the Broncos not doing what they did last offseason, I think RJ Harvey's floor is a second-round return. I think he could easily be a first-round caliber player in the Sean Payton offense with everything he can do. And then, you remember this was my guy, if you listened in like March and stuff, Luther Burden. I think next summer, Luther Burden is going to be insanely hyped up. I think we're going to hear that he's going to be the breakout star and everything. And I think he comes through on that. Like, I'll say it right now, January 6th. Next year, Luther Burden, the Bears wide receiver 1.
Ooh, all right.
Ooh.
I'm going to give you a couple of Chargers. I did like Luther Burden. He was one. I'll give you a couple of Chargers, Oronde Gadsden and Trey Harris. And I think they're
love that.
They're going to battle it out to see which one. But I think the big takeaway is I think we've seen the last of Keenan Allen. Certainly with the Chargers, probably in the NFL. I think he just, decides to hang him up after this year. But as the season went on, we saw Trey Harris start to take over more of those snaps, more of those routes, more of those targets. So I think you're going to see him kind of take a step forward. And, Gadsden, we saw him get hot in stretches, right? He was kind of hot early. Then he came back kind of later in the season. I think there's going to be a bigger role for him too there next year with the Chargers for sure. So I wanted to look at some guys who finished the year on a hot streak and play some hype trainer smokescreen, whether or not we think, they just got hot at the right time, or if there really is something that we can take with us into the next season. So because you were kind enough to use his full name, LaQuan, I'm going to ask you about one Trevor Lawrence. Obviously was amazing down the stretch. I'm sure helped a lot of people win fantasy championships. Did he just get hot at the right time, or did he actually figure something out?
No, they figured it out. Like, I think, again, going back to the Jacoby Myers, being traded there and then them extending him, like, I do think that's going to be one of his best wide receiver targets. And we've seen Jacoby elevate that quarterback position, which I think is what happened. So being that they have the same pieces, all these guys stay healthy, and the way they're playing right now, this seems sustainable. Like, this seems to be the identity of this Jacksonville Jaguars offense. Like, we've seen Liam Cohen turn around that Bucs offense to be one of the most scariest. Now, put him in Duval, we're looking at a lot of these weapons where you're seeing Parker Washington coming on. We're seeing Brenton Strange, and Travis Etienne looks like an RB1 again. And I think that's all, shout out to Liam Cohen getting that done. So I think Trevor Lawrence is retired from the middle meter forever. He's out of the satchel of discontent forever. So I think this is the quarterback product that we were hoping for getting out of Clemson with the whole John Elway and Andrew Luck, comparisons.
Again, I keep going back to if he didn't have Urban Meyer that first year and then Doug Peterson, who just, I don't know, didn't really seem like he was fully committed. What could have been? Could we have gotten here sooner with Trevor Lawrence if the circumstances were different? Who knows? Maybe. Florio, Zay Flowers, again, got hot late in the season, made some plays, actually found the end zone, which is a thing that he doesn't really do. Hype trainer smokescreen. Can this carry over to next year?
I think it's whatever's in the middle of these two things. Because if it wasn't for those, and I know you could say this about a lot of players, right? But that fourth quarter in week 18 really made his season look a little bit different, because without that, it was going to be almost an identical season to the one he had 2 years ago. I think Zay Flowers is like the Michael Jordan of Wan'Dale Robinson. And the reason I say that is because he doesn't score touchdowns, right? Like you're getting all of your points on catches and yards. And he's more effective than like Wan'Dale and some of these other guys who don't score a lot of touchdowns. But it limits your fantasy ceiling. Like, I'd rather have a Devontae Adams who might not put up 1,200 yards, but is going to get me double-digit touchdowns, rather than, and this is for fantasy, not real life, but rather than like a Zay who got 1,200 yards, but only 5 touchdowns. And that ties his career high. So I think Zay Flowers, like next year when I'm doing my rankings, he will once again come in that like borderline as a wide receiver 2 or 3. He'll have some weeks where he's a 1. He'll have other weeks where he's a 4, but most weeks I feel like he's going to live in that 2 to 3 territory. And that there's nothing wrong with that. But I just think that the lack of touchdowns holds him back.
I mean, it's sort of wild that even without scoring touchdowns, he was wide receiver 7 at the end of the year. So like, just imagine if he actually did score touchdowns consistently, right? He got you over 1,200 yards. I mean, he had two really big blow-up games kind of later in the season. He just was really consistent.
That's what he is, though. He's someone that is going to be like most weeks, like a floor play, and then he'll have that huge game where he puts up like 25 or something.
Yeah. Like he's who we wanted Tavon Austin to be. And one of those things was like looking at Zay and the whole body of work, like for a fantasy season, like it has to be a headache if you draft him as a wide receiver too. Because again, like how Florio was saying, those downs, those floors that are scary, it's one of those things where that could lose you a week. So that's why me personally, why I tend to like kind of fade Zay. Like if he starts to get pulled up in rankings once we get into summertime, et cetera, I completely look the other way because most of the time where he goes in drafts, like there's other better options. Like I feel a little bit, better taking somebody like a Terry McLaurin healthy next season if he falls that far. I'd rather take, other options in the rookies that are going to year 2. Maybe a Tetairoa McMillan, maybe a Jacoby Myers. Like I feel like there's more stability there versus a guy that's having a 29% target share, but yet there's no touchdowns are going to be attached to that.
Yeah, that's fair. LaQuan, Michael Wilson. Is there something there, or does he need Jacoby Brissett to still be a quarterback in order to eat?
If Drew Petzing does not want to get fired, he will understand the assignment that Michael Wilson is your wide receiver 1. He's shown us week after week that this is a system that you have drawn up. I can perfect it and elevate it. Marvin Harrison is simply the wide receiver 2. That's just something they need to rip that Band-Aid off and just put in his head. Hey, sit back, you develop, you get the playbook under your belt, and then you go out there and play freely. He cannot have this pressure that he is the number 1 target. Whoever they put back there at quarterback, because it may not be Brissett. I kind of hope that it's Brissett, but it likely not going to be Brissett.
It's not going to be Brissett.
I hope it's not Kyler Murray because you'll just be hitting that switch back to
Kyler Murray either.
Whoever it is, whoever it may be, you have to understand Michael Wilson's your wide receiver 1. Like he's going out there burning guys. He's out there breaking ankles. He's making circus catches. He's out there making one-handed catches, being a red zone threat. He is everything you want in a wide receiver. And it sucks that it took injuries, quarterbacks being benched just to see him blossom into this beautiful talent of a wide receiver 1.
So I agree, but he's always, at best, he's going to be the number 2 target.
Because of Trey McBride.
Yeah. Like Trey McBride is their actual number 1.
But I'm cool with that.
That's not a bad place to be.
No, so like I really like Wilson as a talent. I think it was a hype train. But Marvin Harrison isn't going away either. So then those two are now competing to be the number 2 target because you're not getting away from Trey McBride.
Yeah, no, that's true. There's so many questions there, though, right? Because who's the head coach? Do they keep Drew Petzing around as the OC with a new head coach?
I think so.
Who's going to be the quarterback there, right? If we were all sort of decided it's not going to be Kyler, I think we all decided months ago that Kyler had played his last game for the Cardinals. Look, Jacoby Brissett is nice. He's serviceable. I can't imagine, though, you're going to go into the season.
He should be the 2.
With Jacoby Brissett, right? He's
helping stall.
He's a good backup. He's a good mentor just to kind of help get somebody in. But, like, the quarterback class isn't that deep. So I don't know that they draft somebody at 3. The free agent market, like, I don't think there's anybody that they're going to go and spend for to bring in there.
Mac Jones for a 2-year contract seems decent.
I guess so. I guess that could work.
They had a press conference yesterday, and they got asked about this, and their response, the GM's response was, Kyler is under contract, Jacoby's under contract. And I'm like, that's the kiss of death. Whenever they start saying they're under contract, that's bad.
Les Snead said that about Jared Goff. He's our quarterback today. Yeah, he's done.
I mean,
he's done.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
All right, last one. I got a couple names on this list, but we'll talk about them another time. Last one, and it's fitting that we toss this one to you to start, Florio. Kyle Pitts, who kept the trend going. Year 1, he had 1 touchdown.
Just early.
Year 1, he had 1 touchdown. Year 2, he had 2 touchdowns. Year 3, he had 3. Year 4, he had 4. Year 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touchdowns for Kyle Pitts.
I love this bit.
So I'm guessing we can just write him in for 6 touchdowns next season. But more importantly, can he carry his late season performance over to next year when he may not be an Atlanta Falcon anymore?
Yeah, to me, so I think this is a dual answer, right? I think just on the Kyle Pitts side of things, it is a hype train. I think that he showed he could play. I think that he showed that when he has a quarterback willing to trust him, because Michael Penix wasn't throwing his way a whole bunch. And I get it, Drake London was doing things, Bijan's doing things, but when London missed time, Kyle Pitts showed like, hey, I can be a top option for a team and put up numbers and have success. He had the best fantasy game by a tight end all season, but it depends where he ends up. Because I'm not sure if he ends up back with the Falcons. They don't have a ton of cap. It's now a new regime. They might want to start over with some of their own guys. So it all depends on where he ends up. But talent-wise, I think Kyle Pitts has shown that he can be a very good tight end in this league.
Yeah, I mean, again, he started to look like that game wrecker that we saw at Florida, right? The absolute game changer, the reason the Falcons spent the number 4 overall pick on him once upon a time. Like, that guy showed up late in the season, and,
I think that knee injury affected him a lot longer than we realized. Because remember the first year back, he was still in a brace. He was like, I think he was one of those guys that it took him a full year to kind of get back to where he was pre-injury.
Yeah. That's probably fair to talk about with him for sure. So I don't know. Maybe he slides into that Travis Kelce spot once Kelce officially retires. And
no, don't put that out there. I don't want to have to root against Kyle Pitts.
Patrick Mahomes comes back for week 1. He's got Kyle Pitts to work with. They don't really have any. I mean, they have Rashee Rice, but they don't really have any receivers beyond that. Like,
yeah.
He could go bananas in that Chiefs offense.
We all know he's going to become a New England Patriot, right? That's just just what it is. Yeah.
That feels pretty possible.
Honestly, that feels possible. And that actually would not be a bad spot for him.
I don't like
to be nasty.
I'm sure you don't. I'm sure you don't. But yeah.
But for fantasy, it would be awesome, I think.
Fantasy would be great.
He might be their top target.
For sure. So, I was going to mention Colston Loveland and Kenneth Gainwell. I feel like Gainwell is absolute smokescreen. Like this was just about the circumstance.
This is his Jonnu year with Arthur Smith.
Yeah, like that.
I can see that. Yeah,
and I don't think anybody's buying it, right? Like I think next year we'll see Gainwell going in double-digit rounds, if at all. Like I think everybody sort of
which is good.
That's fine.
That's free.
I think people see this for what it is, and not any idea that Kenneth Gainwell is like a dude all of a sudden.
Loveland is interesting though, because in year 2, I don't know if I'm fully bought in yet, especially with Luther Burden on the rise.
Yeah, I just want to see what they do with the wide receiver room a little bit. Because
is Cole Kmet a free agent?
Yes, I believe. Hold on.
Yeah, I think, but also like I just don't know. No, Cole Kmet's still in the contract for at least another year.
That hampers him a lot.
Years. But, DJ Moore's locked up for a while. We know Rome Odunze's not going anywhere. Luther Burden is there. There's just...
Trade DJ.
As much as I love Caleb Williams, I don't think he can support... He can maybe support 3 guys. He definitely can't support 4. He just can't.
The Bears still don't have a 4,000-yard passer. That makes me sad. 2 years in a row, I thought Caleb would do it.
He missed it by like 58 yards, I think it was. It wasn't by a lot, but he didn't get there this year. So I'll double down.
Receivers are out there.
I'll double down next year. I'll double down next year and say he does it. 58 yards he missed it by. That was it.
You're not wrong. You're just early.
Just early. That's it. That's all I'm saying. The city of Chicago got a Pope before it got a 4,000-yard passer. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, that's a good spot for us to kind of shut this down for today. So that'll do it for this edition of the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. Stay happy, safe, and healthy. Do good and live well. Enjoy the days, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Thursday.